What's going on, everyone? Today I'm here with Sahndra Fon Dufe. She's an actress and also a author as well. Now, Sahndra, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing very fine. Now, Sahndra, could you tell people a little bit about yourself, how you got into acting?
All right. Well, hello, guys. Thank you for stopping by, first of all, to watch this interview. I am from Cameroon, and it's excuse my voice. It's a country in Central Africa. For those of you who don't know, I am a writer. Like you said, I've written a few books. I put some of them here for you, so you can kind of see. These are them. It's like this is. Well, I'm working on this one a bit, so I have little notes. But this is the adult one, and this one is a children's book, and it's called Yefon. It's pretty much the story of a young girl who is trying to get education at a time when women are not allowed by the law to do that. We're talking about sometime in 1940. I also act, like he said, and I started acting when I was 19 when I was in uni, and I was walking past this little street by my house, and I saw like a bunch of filmmakers doing something, and I was like, "What's going on?" So I went and I was like, "Can I do your movie?" And he said, "Well, yeah, you can just walk around." So I just walked around like a little extra, and that kind of, gave me some interest in doing this, and so I have since then.
All right, so on your book, you say yeah, fine. Is it something that's sold on Amazon or something like that?
Yeah, it's sold on. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't have to struggle to find. It's everywhere. You can find it. It's very easy to find, and the spelling is just Yefon. Amazon has it. If you prefer, that's why I find copy with it. You can just shoot me an email on my website, and then we can totally get it from there as well. And it's just a very special name for me. That's my grandmother's name, and in my tribe, Yefon means the mother of the king. So it's a beautiful name, and it's a very powerful message that we are trying to get to.
Yeah. So you said your tribe. So what tribe are
Yeah.
you representing?
I come from the Salt tribe, which is in the northwest region of Cameroon. We have like, if you go through our history, we have very ferocious warriors, and we've got women in very high places. Like one of the things about my culture I really like is we put a lot of respect on the woman. We have this position which is called Ya, which only a woman can have, and even men are not allowed to greet her by the hand. That's just to show how respected this person is. So yeah, it's a very beautiful track. We've got lots of food. We like to eat something. It's called fufu. It's made from corn, and then we eat with like vegetables, which are green, obviously, and like chicken, which we cook with like palm oil and salt. It's really a very tasty delight, I would say.
Now that's something that's very interesting, at least for me to hear, because like I say, all my life I grew up here in America, and
Ah,
we're so far removed from a lot of African culture, the tribes, and things like that. But let me ask you a question about black people here in America that you notice versus black people in Africa. Do you notice that black people in America still kind of practice a form of tribalism?
uh, it's possible, yeah, in some shapes, in some forms. I have noticed, for example, like there is a specific, I don't know if I want to say movement or a time that has come or just a period in which we find ourselves where everybody's just really starting to look back inside and say, okay, this is who I am. This is my environment. How is my environment treating me? How am I treating my environment? And so I start to find that a lot of people here, a lot of the Africans here, the African Americans here, are beginning to just show more respect to the motherland, if that makes sense. Like they're
Yes.
getting more curious about it. It has come. I mean, like I said, in this particular period, a time has just come where they're like, um, yeah, I'm gonna check out the other one and just see how I feel about it. So I would say that, especially now more than ever, there is more of a little awakening. The world is more exposed. A lot of the stereotypes that people used to have about Africa, they're beginning to just meet more Africans in real life and also go to Africa and be like, oh, it's not all like what we see. So I think a time has come when it's becoming more possible that we're getting more tribalistic because we're beginning to get more proud of our own heritage, if that makes sense.
Yes, it definitely makes sense, and
Yeah.
part of what I'm trying to do, and even interviewing people like you and others who've been, from African nations, is that I definitely want to promote global African unity. This is something I want to
Yeah.
promote. And how can we be unified as global Africans if we don't even talk to each other?
I'm with you. And one of the things that I like to tell people every day is like, you know, it's not about who's better than who. You know what I'm saying? It's not about who has more experience or who knows the motherland better or it's not about all of that. Right now, it's about I'm your sister, you're my brother. How can I help you? How can you help me? What can we do to take part? You know what I'm saying? That is where we're at now, and you still have a lot of ego among
Mm-hmm.
people. Some people think they're better. Some, and I would like to use this opportunity to talk to everyone and say, I don't think anyone's better than the other one. Maybe your experiences have shaped you differently. It doesn't make you better or worse than anybody, and it doesn't matter where you're at or what you've done. It's never too late to just look back and make a new decision and say, you know what? Starting from today, I'm ready to find myself and go on my own journey, irrespective of whatever my life experience has been, irrespective of whatever I have done. I'm ready today to start a new journey. And you would be surprised by where your journey would take you when you make that decision consciously that, you know what, I'm about to find my true self. Who am I? Like, what heritage am I from? What did my people do? And it's such a powerful journey to start. And I'm encouraging everyone watching today, like, please start that journey today. Right after you watch this interview, just start it. As soon as you put it off, take a deep breath and go. You know, that's my little advice, I would say.
One thing that really just impressed upon me was to do one of the ancestry DNA tests. And,
Yeah.
I was so curious. And once I got mine back, first of all, I was very proud that I'm 83% African. I'm very proud about
Oh
that.
wow.
And,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, it breaks down the countries that, you have DNA from. Of course, with me, I was about 25% Nigerian. And then I forgot how much Cameroonian, but yeah.
Okay, check this. Growing up as a child, I grew up in Cameroon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I had no love for Africa whatsoever. I did not love anything about being African. My mom would try to get me to speak with my dad again. I was just like, that's so local. I don't want to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
had the long. I know I never had my hair like this because I didn't have those images. Even though I lived in Africa, I did not have those images because you were just never taught that to be like black and proud. It wasn't a thing. You were just, you always watched the movies and then here's what it seemed like. Nobody was telling you, but it just kind of seemed this way. The lighter skinned women were more beautiful. That's how it seemed. Everyone was fighting for them, irrespective of their character, irrespective of if they were actually beautiful, just because they were lighter. The lighter skinned guys as well, like the biracial guys, everyone wanted to date them as well. The movies, people would want to speak more American, whatever that means, using your accent. And just this is all like a bunch of non-verbal subconscious communication. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I exactly know where you're coming from. Basically,
Yeah.
you're describing the effects of what we would call, at least here in America, white supremacy in the African
Absolutely
continent.
that. Even in the continent, and then you have all these beautiful, these beautiful women who are dark skinned who bleach their skin because they just absolutely hate it. And this is where I grew up. So you can imagine my transformation moving here when I was like 21 years old, and then just starting this journey. And I'm seeing to um, find their because my mother would force me to go to the village for Easter holidays, and I'll just be rolling my eyes. I still had to learn the dialect, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. But I don't know where I can start to thank her from, because look at this. We want to talk about like how would I have been able to write about 1940? Because people always tell me like, how do you write about 1940 with such accuracy? I'm like, well, my grandfather told me all these stories, and at the end of the day, I still went back to the village, so I got to see that image in my head, and I put it in a journey, and I'm just so empowered by where it took me. Because a long time ago, this was just a story, it was a book, I was trying to put and read the book, and then I was like, you know what, let me just check out what the education system of the world is like, because it's about education. So the more I start to read it, the more I start to look at stuff, I'm like, I've been pushing people to get educated. But what kind of education do they have in these schools? So my brain starts to work, and I'm like, that's very interesting. And then I realized that the education system of the world was not serving us. Even though we are in school and we're doing a good thing, but it's serving us as if we are in the 1940s when this book is set, as opposed to our children who are now are going to be 20 in 19, I mean in 2000 and what, 40, 50? What would the world be like at that time? Are we teaching our children what they would learn now? I don't know if you kind of see where I'm coming from.
I know exactly. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Um,
And so this all stemmed from just understanding my heritage. All of this journey stepped from there, and what I've been doing. Can I turn the camera around to just show you a few pictures from on the wall?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Let me show you. So I have so YEFON now became this acronym, which is Young, Empowered, Focused, Original, and Nurturing, and that's what I teach children. I go to schools. I was just recently in Africa, and I was there for 4 months in Cameroon, and I visited over 80 schools and spoke to about 100,000 students, and that was my message. I just want to show you a few pictures, so kind of. I think can this turn around?
Yeah, I can see you fine.
Can oh okay. Well, I'll just turn it around and show you. So these are a few pictures of the children from the tour. I don't know if you can see it. This is
Yes, I can see it.
one of the schools. I was talking with them. This is, after it's the pictures here, here. And then this particular day, we gathered like a bunch of youth, at least 500 youths came out and we just walked for peace, showing that if the youth in Africa came together, they could really have a voice, you know?
Oh yes, Africa definitely needs to come together, and that's how I feel about this. I seen this one brother. I forgot this brother's name in South Africa. He really
Yeah.
speak. He really speaking out about Africans need their land and their resources, and all these white people are running their country, and they only 10% of the population. But if Africans together will put aside their differences with tribes and different countries and come together, Africa is the richest country in the world. I mean, well, continent. I'm sorry, continent in the world. Okay. And y'all, well, not you, but Africans have allowed all these white folks to come in and steal everything, their resources and everything from them for centuries. And it needs to stop. They need to, like, Donald Trump, he talks about America first and getting people out and building walls. Well, I think Africans need to start building some walls and getting people out.
Yeah, yes and no. Here's my viewpoint about that, right? Uh, I agree with you. I agree with you for most of what you said. Here's where I think I have a little disparity, and it's not to disrespect your opinion. It's just to,
Oh, no. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I'm saying, check this, right? I just explained to you something. So, 5 times a week, I leave my house and I go to a kindergarten class. My students are for about 4 to 9, so kindergarten, second grade. And I pour my heart out every day. I teach these guys. There is no black student in my classroom. Okay. But after a couple of months, my students, they began to catch like African slangs, right? And then they began to get so curious, like, Miss Sandy, why are you different from us? Because they're still children, they don't know anything. Now, I'm blessed to stand in front of young children. And what I try to teach them was no race is superior. I don't care. No, I'm trying to teach them because I know the time that they're going to live. The world is changing in a in a very rapid way. In the years to come, there will be so many like mixed race people that it will be unbelievable. You know what I mean? So, do we teach our children to push everybody out, or do we teach our children, hey, we have to work together? For example, I live in America right now. I think I can teach you a thing or two about respect and about culture, and you may teach me a thing or two about speaking my mind. You know what I'm saying? Irrespective of where we're from, there's something we can bring to the table. So I think the future African leaders should not necessarily kick anybody out, but should demand a fair representation. If you're going to come to my country and you want to build a bridge, okay, what are you going to do for me? Just like any leader does. Like, you can come, that's fine, but what exactly are you going to do for me? How many Africans are you going to employ in your business? In leadership positions. Don't come and make my countrymen your followers. No. We have trained engineers. I'd like to bring 3 of them on this project, and I would like you to exchange your skills. Whatever you have learned in America that we don't have here, teach us. And whatever we've learned in Africa that you don't have there, we'll teach you. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I see exactly what you're coming from.
That's my vision for the future. That's what I teach when I go to these schools. When I speak to these spirits, because I consider everyone a spirit, I'm trying to speak life into them. I want them to understand the time that is coming is different from anything that we've ever seen, and I've seen it. I have a vision of what it would look like. And in that time, you best believe that there will be a very mixed. Africa will be like America, America will be like Africa, because the internet is doing making that happen. So you can be physically somewhere else with the mindset of someone from another place. Do we use those differences as a bad thing? So hence, should we continue to be tribalistic? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we should think like for all, meaning what I would like to see Trump do, for example, like I don't want to hear like America first. What does that mean? Who's American? Like, what does it even mean? He's not even from here. His parents are not even from here. So it means that he should go out too. We all should not be here. So he's making a point that has no point, because in the time in which we're coming, these things will not apply. It will not apply. But we need leaders, and one leader who I particularly love is Mahatma Gandhi, and just kind of what he stood for. He was a very smart man, way ahead of his time.
Yes.
It's not necessarily always about I'm better than you, because that's what these things do. Okay, I'm black, I'm fabulous, and I'm proud. Great, but I'm not better than you. You are white and you are whatever you are, and that's great. But you, mister, are not better than me. Now, I can teach you something. You can teach me something. What can we trade fairly? That's what the future African leaders have got to do. What can we trade fairly? You will not come here and rape my country of its goods, and I will not rape you either. We're going to be fair. When you leave, I'll shake your hand and goodbye. You go, and I stay in my country. That's what we have to think about. Our future leaders have to be like that. And that's something especially for my country where I come from, I really hope that the future will not be like what it is.
That's fine. Let me reiterate what I was saying when I said getting people out. I'm not saying individuals. What I mean by leadership, those who are in control of the government. In other words, like it should not be like in Cameroon, right? From what I've heard about Cameroon, the French still have control in Cameroon. That should not be.
Okay.
That's the
okay. So I'm saying the same thing. So fair trade.
Yeah, well, trade is one thing, but I think that's a separate issue. I'm talking about control of your government, control of leadership, resources.
Oh, God, absolutely.
That's what I'm meaning by getting people out. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about getting like for instance, you have too many African nations that have white folks running it and controlling it. Like I mentioned South Africa, when the brother said they have a 90% African population in South Africa and 10% white, and the white folks are running South Africa. That should not be.
No, it should not be.
No. If it's the continent of Africa, it should be all black everything over there. Like you said, you want to come over here to our nation? Okay, let's make a fair deal that benefits to both of us. Now, that's where you come in at, and I agree with you 100%. It's okay to deal with other people fairly, but you're not going to come in and just take over my land and run everything and poison people. And unfortunately, African nations let all these Europeans come in and do all kind of stuff over there that's even evil. Oh, I'm a Christian missionary, but you're over there touching kids. I mean, so, don't get me started with them.
So what you're saying, let me tell you how I hope to solve part of that problem. Okay. So I'm acknowledging you. If that's what you mean, then I'm with it. I completely hear you. Here's what I hope to do. I think I started already, and I hope to continue in my lifetime. And I'm going to use this opportunity to invite other young people. The time has come where young people have got to be involved in politics, education, spirituality, whatever form of leadership. We cannot sit here and just imagine what the future will be like. Sir, do you follow me?
Yes, I'm following you 100%.
We've got to be completely involved. So I sat here in my little house and I said to myself, what am I really good at? Yeah, I'm an actress, that's great. I'm a writer, that's great. But how am I going to shape the minds of those who are still to come? And I was like, you know what? I have this gift. I can write. I'm a good speaker. I'm going to get in there and get them when they are young. Because if you have a strong foundation when you're a child, you will grow up to be a powerful person. Irrespective of the resistance, your brain will be strong, your spirit will be strong. You bring up a great case. But let's look at the people. Are they Are they strong in body and weak in spirit? Are they strong in body and weak in mind because of everything that they've been fed? How do we want them to understand what kind of leaders to have if they don't even understand what time it is? How? So, how many of us can speak? How many of us have taken the time to understand what's going on? And how many of us actually go to those schools and talk to those kids when they are children? I mean, it's a lot of work, but more of us need to be doing that. We need to come together and do that more. I already started, like I said, and I have a vision where my work will continue across the whole continent of Africa and even here to the African children here because we need that message. It's time we all have to be involved. If we don't want leaders that are going to sell us out, guess who votes the leaders? Us. And of course, sometimes it's corrupt. But if the people become so strong in mind and body, it's only a matter of time. That's my understanding of how the universe works. You want something, you knock on the door, you get it. Sometimes it's not immediate, but it'll come. You know. So that's me asking you, sir. Like I like what you're doing. You're trying to bring us together on this platform. I'm asking those watching right now, how many of you are doing something, not just talking on Facebook and being angry, but literally walking out of your house and going to find some young children because they are going to be the next voters a couple of years from now. And they're still too young. My students don't know. They know I'm black because I'm literally darker than them, but they don't understand. You know what I mean? They don't have racism in them yet. They don't. They just love their teachers so much. They just want to see me every day and hear all my stories and laugh. They don't know racism yet. What's the better time to teach someone something than when they know nothing yet? I don't know. I keep asking, are you with me? Just because you're not, because usually in Africa, right? When you're telling a story and then someone's listening, they say, and then when they say nothing, you're like, oh, can they even hear me?
Oh, see, no, I just when I interview people, I respect people and I just be quiet and I let them speak. I don't do things like Fox News to start over talking you and cutting you off. I think that's so rude to do that. So when I interview people, it's about the guests. It's not about me. I got plenty of time to talk on my own. Trust me, I do. But one thing that even when you were talking about the skin bleaching earlier, and we have issues here in America as well. And that's a global problem, self-hate. If we just learn to love ourselves, love our black self, and realize to have some pride and put people in their place when they get involved with our issues and they have no business involved with our issues, I think that would be a great step in the right direction because it's sad to hear that in African nations, skin bleaching making a lot of money. And here in America, it's kind of taboo for a black person to do that. Not some celebrities will do it, but they'll do it in secret. They slowly lighten themselves up. We've seen that, but is it really that bad with the hate for self in African nations that they literally taking a risk with their health?
Yeah, and then so here's what I've been. I know I'm sounding very redundant, but only because it's so important where I'm coming from. I've learned to. I mean, a great friend of mine told me something. He said to me, Sandra, you have a great gift. One thing that you must work on is your empathy and understanding. If you want to be and touch the world in that kind of way, you have to work on that. So I thought about what he was saying very carefully because I used to have no tolerance for, I call it for fuckery, right? I just have zero tolerance at all, just no tolerance. But now I'm in a different place. Hence, for the first time in my life, this whole year, I'm going to answer your question. I'm leading to it very carefully. For the first time, for the last 10 months, I've been teaching children because when I got back from my tour in Africa, I'm working on a documentary, trying to show the future, show the governments of the world the better way to educate children. So I'm working on that now since I came back from Africa from that tour. Okay, so I started teaching children. Children will teach you patience. So I'm saying that to say, yes, there is that hate for themselves, but they don't even know it. Because it's not like they're doing it in their mind like, oh, I don't like myself. They're not even aware of why they have that in their head. It's not yet, they're not aware of it. So do I go to somebody who grew up in a certain circumstance and bash them or put them in their place? No. I've learned now that it's much better to have a conversation and talk to a person, talk to their spirit and not talk at them. Meaning, if I meet someone who's bleaching their skin, in the past I'll just be like, ignorance. But are they really ignorant? or they just need to be reminded of who they are and how beautiful they are in their spirit. And maybe no one ever took the time to explain why they're doing these things. Maybe they don't even know it's wrong, or maybe they know it's wrong, but they just can't stop. They've done it for too long, or they think that this is the way out. So do we need to find that empathy and understanding to really, I don't want to say educate, but remind them of who they are. I don't know if you get me.
I
I
get it.
think,
I get exactly what you're saying, and
yeah,
for me, I like to find out why a person do something as well. I'm not going to
right.
just attack you off the back. I want to know why. What's your story? How do you get to that point? And yes, we have to come to our people in love as well, because the problem we have, at least here in America, is black people be all loving and patient with these white folks. When it comes to black people, they're ready to cut their head off. They don't have the same love and understanding,
I
unfortunately.
see where you're coming from. Yeah, we must stop that. We really must find love again. And I mean, I know how I sound, but I'm just being honest about it. We have to find love again. We have to treat our own just the way we treat others, you know? We have to. Because I will not sit here and be condescending to another black woman who's bleaching her skin. Because I know maybe she didn't have the experiences that I did. And who knows what I would have been like if I grew up in her particular house. I don't know. But now I can just say, hey, sister, this thing, I get it. It makes you feel better about yourself, and I'm with it. I understand. But the problem is they put hydroquinone in these products, and it hurts your skin. You may have cancer. Is cancer worth it? Is it worth having, like, dying or getting sick because you want to look like someone else? Then I would just show them, like, some other black women that are very beautiful and ask them, what do you think is beautiful about this person? And then maybe she'll start to look and be like, oh wow, her eyes or her face or her mind or whatever it is. And then I'll ask her the same question. And I've done this before. What about yourself? What do you think is beautiful about yourself? And she'll say, not well, I don't know. I'm not used to answering that question. No, no, think about it. Let's talk about it right now. And then she's on the spot, and then she'll start to think, and she'll be like, well, I like my eyes. Okay, here's some mascara. Let's put some mascara on those eyes. Honey, you are beautiful just the way you are. And you don't need to change anything. I don't need to bleach my skin. I don't need to make my teeth all straight. I got a gap tooth. And everyone used to make fun of me when I was little for having these big frog eyes. And I would cry and cry and cry and cry. And then I got older, and the same people are like, oh my God, you've got the prettiest eyes in the whole world. Yeah, but I think you guys tried to kill me for it like many years back. Yeah, I think you see. Okay, but okay.
Yeah,
Mm,
I agree. I agree with you 100% that it goes back to once we have a knowledge of self and people asking why are you doing certain things and actually hearing good things about ourselves when we need to
mm-hmm.
hear them. Yes, I agree with you 100%. It's a global problem. It's not just an American black problem,
Yes.
and that's why we need to all come together in the spirit of global African unity, and
Mm-hmm.
get together and pull from each other's resources, help each other out. And that's definitely what I'm all about, Sandra. And I'm so glad to hear that you definitely on the same page as well, and that promoting that, because we need that. We definitely need that as a group. We lost without each other. And the crazy part about it is I don't really see no other group being as connected as we are connected
No.
spiritually with each other, even though we're not in the same countries.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, man. Like, and that's what I mean. I watched a few episodes of your channel, and can I say what you're doing? I think if more people did, I mean, like, what you're like, pick what you're good at. I like the direction of your channel because you didn't only pick like black people. I saw this very inspirational old woman, so feisty, and I was just like, wow, like this is. I love her. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about Jane Elliott? Probably.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay.
It was so inspirational watching her on your platform. And then I went to watch Garvey's son talk. So just that diversity. So that's what I'm learning. I'm learning. That's what I'm learning. And like I said, I'm not. I wasn't always this way. I'm just talking about where I'm at now. Using If I want to talk about those two guests from your show, I'm using that as an example of what I would like to see more of. Right? It's not always necessarily a race issue. It's a mind issue. Because there are some black people, even though their skin is black, they're so hateful in their mind, it's unacceptable. There are some black people, even though their skin is black, they're so loving. There are some white people, even though their skin is white, they are so hateful in their mind. And there are some white people, even though their skin is white, they are beautiful inside. So that's something that I'm really paying attention to. So right now, usually I don't speak to a race, I speak to a mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I speak to it's a kind of, I call them the conscious millennials. That's who I speak to. That's who my documentary is for. The one I'm working so hard on. That's who, when I go on a Facebook Live, when I, write on any post that I'm writing to, any platform, even in this particular moment on this particular channel, I'm speaking to the conscious minds, because I believe it will take more than just black folk. It will take conscious minds all over the world to restore this problem that we're having. I just dream of a world where the black child can wake up from her bed and love herself in all fullness and just go about her life and do her thing and not feel like, not feel like these people, and vice versa for every other race. So what I'm just taking a moment to acknowledge what you're doing as well, to say I like what you're doing and you should continue to do that, because it's a great thing that you're doing.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, sister. But, like I said, for me, my mission, like I said, is global African unity. And, anyone that's trying to stand up against this racism and this white supremacy that's in the world, if they're a white person and they genuine about it, they can come talk to me about it, because I'm all about that. I'm about the mission. If you're about that mission that I'm on, then we could talk all day long. People think that, as black people, that we, some of us have a hatred. We are very loving people, and we're loving to a fault. And that's what got a lot of us in trouble and hurt, is because we too loving. It's the truth, especially with other groups of people. But for me, like I said, I don't care about people's color. At the end of the day, I don't. As long as you want to be a good person and you trying to get into the fight and do what's right, I'm cool with you. Period. And that's just about it. But here in America, everything is based upon color, because that's the system that was created, unfortunately, and that system permeates every industry. You in Hollywood, right? So I know you can see that.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's like so wrong, and that's why I'm all about black people need to start doing for themselves. Why don't you create your own version of Hollywood? Because there's a lot of black actors and actresses from all over the world, right here in America, don't even get a chance. And why is it that you got to be put in 12 years a slave or some sort of slave movie to get a shot? That like you said, what's the sister in 12 Years a Slave? They were making a big deal about well, what's her name?
Lupita Nyong'o?
Yeah, there you go. I'm pretty sure she's done plenty pictures and movies way before that show.
Well, I get what you're saying. That's the wrong example, because she, not necessarily, no, she was in school, and then she was looking during the documentary. She was on a show in Africa, and so she has not done like a lot of movies prior to that. That was like her first big one.
Okay.
She continued after, yeah. But I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. You're saying, for example, Halle Berry, has done some great work in other movies, and then the movie that she got the Oscar for was the one where she was on the floor like saying fucking, to this guy.
Yeah.
Right. But I do know what you're saying. But like I said, especially the time now, a lot of black artists are changing that narrative, man. Like, have you seen movies like Moonlight? Have you seen these movies? It's they're changing that narrative. They're coming together saying, you know what? No, we're not gonna do that. Look at Viola Davis, a woman I have mad respect for, by the way. But look at the kind of thing that she's getting an Oscar for. Like, I don't know if you saw the movie Fences.
I haven't seen that movie yet, but I've definitely seen a lot of Viola Davis' work.
My God, like,
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God, those two artists. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know if any two artists in this particular generation can match their passion together. They're so vibrant, and these are black people, and the whole August Wilson and everything. But that's what I'm saying. It's becoming, a lot of people are getting more aware about it now. People are. It's so sickening. Like, look at the Oscars last year. That was so sickening, and I think a lot of them woke up from that. They were like, God damn. Okay, so now I see a lot of powerful content being created now, and it will only get better from here. It will only get better. Look at a movie like I mean, just in the last Oscars as well. Look at Hidden Figures. They're doing a movie about this powerful woman. She's not. She's like she's kind of mixed, but she's black, and just telling that kind of story that I mean, hasn't really been told before. They're doing more of that now. Even you talked about Lupita. I don't know. Have you heard about Queen of Catway?
No.
Okay, well, she doesn't just do movies where she's a slave. She just did a movie which I loved, a Disney movie where it's the first, well, not the first African, like from Africa, a Disney princess, and it's about this beautiful real woman. She's alive now, called Fiona, who uses she's from this village and she doesn't know anything else but chess, and she becomes an international superstar. And she's so little, she's like 7 when she starts playing. It's so inspirational. But Lupita played that against like David Oyelowo, and there's damn near no white actor in that movie unless, well, when they go into the tournament and so on. But there's these things happening, and that's the thing. When it's that kind of movie, we don't really hear about it for some reason. So I guess because if you haven't heard about it, that gets me to ask the question, like, so what's really going on? Why is it that when it's that kind of movie, we don't hear about it as much? So who is to blame for that? Is that those making the movie, or is it us? Should we take more interest and actually look for those kind of films, because they are here, and when we support those films, they do well. And so from an investor's point of view, who doesn't care about the color, he just cares about what's making money. They put money into what makes money. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In the film industry, it's not about your color. It is about your color, but it's not about your color. For those who are putting the money, it's about the color only because that's making money. For some reason, they're like, oh, numbers, numbers, numbers. Those guys don't care. They just want their investment back. So even if it meant they were going to invest in porn, they would. They just want their money back. So whose job is it to see such content being put out? It's us, the audience, because when the audience, we're very interesting. We say we want to see this, but when the movies come out, guess what? We don't watch it. So whose fault is it? If we're not watching those movies, the numbers not doing well. So the studio would only do one of them and put more into the Hunger Games or into Transformers or whatever is making the studio the most commercial money. So that's what I'm saying. I want people to get out of the I don't know the word is safety net, and look at facts. Factually, numbers talk a lot. So we need to support these kind of films. Like, I think you would love The Queen of Cow. It's amazing. You would just watch the trailer if you haven't seen it. It's a great film, and I'm so proud of them. I mean, talk about Lupita. I've never seen her act like that in my life. It's the best performance I've ever seen her do in her whole career. So I know there's more coming, of course, but I'm just saying, we as the audience, if we want to see more content that represents us, we need to support those ones when they come out. You want to see more black books? When you see a black book, you buy it. Of course, not any kind of book, but a good book. If you want to see more black hair products, when you see a good hair product that's from a black person, you buy it. That's the Jewish model. That's how they get down. That's what they do. And we are so much sometimes in our feelings, but not in facts. In facts, we need to financially support other great black people. That's how it works. It's a money game. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, again, I don't know what I'll be like 10 years from now, but I'm just talking about my journey right now and what has brought me here. I feel so humble and so grateful to know the things that I know now. And it's just my job to teach it and spread the message like crazy. We have to support each other, not just on Facebook talking shit, but in real life, where it really matters.
Yeah, I definitely agree about economics, but and you talking about David Yallo, I'm not saying his name right. Forgive me. Yeah, he played Martin Luther King in Selma, and I think he did a phenomenal job at playing Martin Luther King. I haven't seen nobody played him like that. You know, yeah, I mean, it was awesome how he played him. I wish they make a whole movie on Martin Luther King just with him playing him. Also, we was talking about Birth of a Nation and how so many people was excited for that, and these people sabotaged it because these people here in America don't want it being exposed, slave revolts, and it's going to get the black people riled up, and they did everything in their power. And unfortunately, we have black people that side with those people to disenfranchise us as well. And they brought up a case with Nate Parker, the director, that he was acquitted of. Okay, mind you, because you can get accused of anything, and a court of law found him not guilty because the girl was lying, and they exposed that she was lying. How a black man get off in court of allegedly raping a white woman. Come on, we got it stacked against us here in America. So they sabotaged that man's movie. They wasn't playing it in the theaters. They were doing low show times. They were doing some dirty stuff all over the place to sabotage Birth of a Nation. That's why I tell black people, go buy it. I think African people need to buy it, because that movie can be successful buying it online.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's everything that you speak of and more. Like you would just be shaking and crying and just like, what the fuck is this? But let's talk about that. You brought it up. I want to talk about that. And here's one thing that you can always be sure of in a communication with me. I'm always very objective. That's something my father taught me, and I take pride in it, to be objective in every conversation. So you talk about Birth of a Nation, right? How did that thing happen? What do you speak of? Because you are right. His movie was like, put under. How did it happen? Whose fault is it? Whose fault do you think it is?
Well, I can tell you right now, it wasn't his fault at all.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm definitely sure, because the media, I paid attention to the whole thing, sister. The media went for because the media in America is dirty. They went after an old case that he was acquitted of, because all these black people was excited. Even the people at the Sundance Film Festival had standing ovation. That's why after that was shown, he got so many offers from Fox, Netflix. Everybody was throwing this man money. They wanted this movie bad. And then after it says it'll come to theaters, okay, here come the media putting this out. They get feminists involved with it, and all of a sudden calling this man something that he's not. He's not a rapist. And they use that to bring down the buzz of that movie.
So two things. I'm with you. I just want two things, this information. One of them is, what offer? So, okay, sometimes this happens, let me not use me, because I love that. I don't want to make it look some kind of way. This is what happens sometimes in the industry, right? You have something, and someone comes to you who is more of a black filmmaker, like a black person, and says, "Oh, I want to do this for you." But because they're a little bit smaller, you turn them down and go with who looks like the bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following what I'm saying?
I know you're about to go with it. I know exactly where you're about to go with it.
With that person, and you ignore someone who was a little bit smaller, but who had your 100% interest at heart, and who will do better for you because they have the message in their heart and they will fight for it as before the end of the film. When you go with the bigger, more money, but they shelf your film or your book, whose fault is that? One of the things that I hate, and my father told me this when I was a little girl, and I'll never forget it. We have to take responsibility. We have to be very accountable. Yes, you go into a room and somebody can do something to you, but what was your fault? In the Christian church, when I grew up, I learned a few things, even though I learned a lot from everywhere, but there's something I did learn from that particular church, which I think was great. There's three kinds of sins, right? You can have a sin of omission, a sin of action, and a sin in your mind. Let me take away the word sin, is too powerful, but you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. There is a sin of omission, which you have to, the only way to grow from it is to say, you know what, fuck, why the fuck did I give that person my film? When this person asks me, I should have given them, man, you know what, next time I will not do that again. If more black people did that, I'm telling you, we're in a different place, but we only see blame, and we never take accountability for where we went wrong. That's one thing. The second thing is, you know that you're in America. You know what time it is. You know what movie you're making. You're making Birth of a Nation. Are you serious? That's like about to wake like every kind of sentiment possible, and you're using the title of that movie that was racist many years ago. You know they're coming for you. You know they're coming for you. So you have to think it like get like. Have you ever seen the movie The Great Debate, the Great Debaters?
Yeah, I remember it vaguely.
I'm not even playing around. You need to find like 5 people like that around you and say, let's think of every way that can go wrong. And what I'm trying to say is, I love Nate Parker. I think he's a sexy black chocolate man. I think he's a very intelligent, very passionate, and amazing filmmaker. But I hope that this experience can teach the rest of us not just to blame the white people for what they did, but also to take responsibility of where we had an oversight, what we could have done better next time. Nate Parker should have hired, knowing the nature of the film. It's just that kind of film and what it would wake up. He should have hired 5 or 6 amazing lawyers on his team that are like the great debaters, passionate and so understand what is happening. And
So we had to cut the interview off at that particular point because Sahndra was having a lot of technical difficulties on her end with signal, and the video kept freezing. But I felt this interview was a very good interview. Sahndra had a lot of personality and a lot of things to say. This is what we want. We want to promote global African unity, and we're going to keep trying to bring people on the platform to talk and interview from the continent of Africa, because we need to connect with our brothers and sisters over there. And what's the best way to connect with them is having a conversation. So let me know what you think about this particular interview. Share it with everyone, like it, and subscribe for more interviews.